So earlier today, Joe Biden was walking on the beach with his wife, Jill Biden, and nearly fell over again. Not once, but twice. The clip is absolutely hilarious. I'm going to show it to you guys here in just a second. But before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the support you guys have been showing on the videos. I really appreciate it a lot. I'm having a lot of fun making this content for you guys, so I'm glad that you're enjoying it. So before we get into this clip of Joe Biden nearly falling again, simply just walking on the beach, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the ring notification so you never miss a video. But here it is, the President of the United States nearly falling over twice, walking on the beach. Watch.
He's playing. He's playing.
He's playing?
Yeah. He's playing.
He's trying too hard.
Huh. He's playing.
Mr. President!
Mr. President, just a word.
Mr. President, what are you going to say to Trump on Wednesday?
Now, in his defense, I have looked like that a couple of times after I leave the Santa Monica clubs at about 2 a.m. drunk, walking on the beach in the pitch black. So I can't fault him fully, as I have been there. But it's so funny, over these past 3 or 4 months with Kamala Harris campaigning, we almost forgot that this guy is legitimately the president of the most powerful country to ever exist in human history. And when you see something like this, it's no surprise that our economy and the world is in shambles right now. If this guy can't put 2 feet in front of each other, how do you expect him to run a country and to control our foreign adversaries? It's just simply an impossible ask. But this is part of the reason why the Democrats lost so embarrassingly, is because they had this guy in charge of the country while at the same time telling us that he's sharper than ever, smart, energetic, with it, competent, and just lying to us throughout his entire presidency. It wasn't until they put him on a debate stage and we actually saw the man's brain glitch out in real time that they were forced to take him off of the ticket and replace him with his less than satisfactory vice president. And then, once we saw that the president was incapable of tying his own shoes, Kamala Harris just would not distance herself from this guy. Because if you're going to tell us that you wouldn't have done anything differently than a guy who can't walk straight without falling over, then what are we supposed to expect of you? At least if she would have stood on her incredibly radical ideals, she would have lost with some dignity and being herself, and the American people would have said, okay, at least she's authentic. We know who she is. We just don't like her. But it was the fact that we knew that she was lying, claimed to be a moderate, and basically everything that she proposed in this placating as a moderate was just Joe Biden 2.0. Now, Bill Maher, who's on this constant teeter-totter of really good takes and really bad takes, and it just swings from episode to episode, absolutely destroyed the Democrat Party in his show the other night. He told them that they need to look themselves in the mirror and called them out on all of their failures. Watch.
My message to the losers: losers, look in the mirror. No? Well, maybe you should. Sorry. Well, that's my feeling. Losers, look in the mirror, okay? For months, Democrats have been saying, how is this even close? And they're right, it wasn't. Trump won all the swings, all 7. I mean, he ran the table. Trump won so big. Today he called the Secretary of State in Georgia, and he asked him to lose him $11,000. I also think everything the candidates, especially the Democrats, do to get voters annoys them. The constant texting. Did you get the texts like from Tim Walz every 5 minutes? And like always begging for money and knocking on doors. We've got people knocking on doors. People don't want knocking on your door. Who in this day and age wants someone knocking on? Kids don't even like it when a phone call? That's like too much of a invasion of their privacy.
And he's totally right. Democrats just aren't out of touch socially and culturally and with their positions that they think are important. They're out of touch with their strategies. their marketing strategies, their outreach strategies. They're so antiquated, and it gives off this vibe that they're just stuck in the past and don't know how to connect with the modern voter. Somebody said it best. The Democrats ran a perfect campaign for 1996. While Donald Trump was hitting all of the major podcasts, taking advantage of the new mediums of getting his message out there, the Democrats were doing 60 Minutes. And they wonder why Trump skipped it. What's the point? But listen to this next clip where one of the panelists says that the reason Kamala lost was because she only had 3 months. And Bill Maher's like, only 3 months? I think people kind of figured out that they didn't like her the first week. It's awesome. Watch.
He drops out after a catastrophic debate performance, and they set Kamala Harris up to fail. That was a 3-month campaign, and she was supposed to introduce herself to the American people. No wonder people were Googling, did Joe Biden drop out? And so...
No. No. You're saying 3 months wasn't long enough?
I mean,
it was too long. I mean, it was long enough.
It was long enough.
if they had a primary...
It's not that they didn't have time to introduce. They met someone and they didn't like them. You're either the person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out, or you know in a week. You know, did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week to make a decision? Yeah, you just people.
How
It's
are you gonna
ridiculous.
enforce
We just get sicker of them.
Leave a comment right now if you agree with what he just said. After 1 week of hearing Kamala Harris talk, did you not already have your mind made up about her? Because I know I did. I'm into politics, so I knew she was terrible way before that, back to the 2019 primaries when Tulsi Gabbard just eviscerated her in the primary debate. But if you're somebody who doesn't follow politics that much and you're just hearing Kamala for the first time, you knew in about a week that you were either never going to vote for this person or you were white dudes for Harris bought in. But I love how honest he's being here, saying that the American people knew right away that they just didn't like her. And the more that they heard from her, the less they liked. The more that they saw these interviews of her giving these word salad non-answers, the more they disliked her. Every time they heard her talk about Donald Trump's a fascist, a dictator, a Hitler wannabe, they disliked her more. Every time they saw her cackling when their pockets are hurting and they're expecting their president to take things seriously and she just laughs at every single issue, they disliked her more and more. So I'm glad that they at least pointed it out, that the 3-month excuse does not work. 3 months was way too long. If she would have had 6 to 9 months to run, I think she would have done even worse. Now listen to what he says, debunking the whole sexist argument that the mainstream media is trying to push as the reason that she lost. He just absolutely obliterates it. Watch.
Why you have to make all these excuses for her? This, like I said, all this was this week was people who said, "Oh, she ran a flawless campaign. How ridiculous!" Or it's sexism, it's racism. This is an old playbook.
Yes, I didn't say any of those things.
I know, but I've heard a lot of these things, and like I think America's perfectly willing to elect a woman. They just didn't like the last two that were put up.
They're willing to elect a woman.
There's some sexism.
They're willing to elect a woman when she's the best candidate that they're offered. That's that simple.
I think they are not. I think they were very unlikely to elect whether the vice president to Joe Biden, who had a
that's it.
Who had a
that's what they didn't like.
The vice president to Joe Biden, whether it was a male, female, black, white, or anything else, was going to have a giant political albatross around their neck, and they could perform perfectly or perform imperfectly. But that person was going to be at a disadvantage.
She didn't make a good case. Well, she didn't denounce the past stuff that people didn't like. She just
what would you
tried
do
to
differently
ignore
than Joe
it.
Biden? I can't think of anything. And she was offered a redo on that.
That was terrible. That would hurt.
They are 100% spot on with this. You cannot call the American people sexist when the 2 female presidential candidates you've put forward are an establishment basically as swamp of the swamp as it gets Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, the most unpopular vice president ever, and then call us sexist because those 2 weren't elected. They didn't even have a primary to put her up as the presidential candidate. And while Democrats say that, oh, well, she was Biden's vice president, that doesn't matter. During the primary, you are running for the presidency. There is no vice president in that process. So the fact that they just threw her in after Joe Biden won is extremely undemocratic. I agree, Americans are perfectly fine to elect a woman as president if it's the best candidate put forth. We understand that affirmative action and DEI nonsense has no place anywhere, but especially not for the most powerful position on the planet. I mean, Kamala wasn't just bad, she was historically bad. Her campaign raised over $1 billion. They blew it all in 3 months, and she still lost. And that's because the Democrats had to learn a hard lesson. Respect and support cannot be bought. It doesn't matter how much money you spend. It doesn't matter how many celebrity endorsements that you have. The American people were having a hard time, wanted solutions, and they did not care about Beyonce telling them, or Oprah telling them, or Michelle Obama telling them that they need to vote for this candidate or else they're sexist. Listen to a Kamala Harris fundraiser talk about how big of a disaster, a $1 billion disaster, her campaign was. Watch.
The truth is, this is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. Actually, it was $1.018 billion, I think, right? There were $20 million or $18 million in debt.
Right.
It's incredible. And I raised millions of that. I have friends that I have to be accountable to and to explain what happened, because I told them it was a margin of error race. I was promised, Jen O'Malley Dillon promised all of us that Harris would win. She even put videos out saying that Harris would win. I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled.
I mean, I certainly don't feel bad for these people. I don't know why they would put their money behind that horse. That's a terrible bet to make. But the fact that they were being told, and all these polls were telling them that it was a very close margin of error race, and then to get absolutely annihilated like she did, yeah, I know people are pissed off that they lost and sunk millions of dollars into this person, and she never stood a chance. That's why I told you guys in the video I posted like 3 weeks ago saying Donald Trump will win, because I've talked to thousands and thousands of real life people about Donald Trump and how they feel about the situation in America. And I knew it was going to be a landslide victory for Trump from the beginning. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys smash the like button. It really helps the video get out to other people. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.